Well, today is May 21st, and I'm out at the bear bait, and I'm going to get it set up for this season. I'm a couple weeks late. Ideally, I would have liked to have been out here a little earlier, but I was busy turkey hunting, and finally got my turkey last Friday. So I'm gonna get the bear bait going today, and kind of do an in-depth video of how I set my bear baits up and what works for me. And primarily, I'm going to show how I use my Northwoods Bear Products to get my baits going and try and get them big bears to keep visiting the bait. So I think the first thing I'm going to go over is trail cam setup. I'm going to get the camera set up here, and I'm going to do that first just before I get my hands all full of bear scent, because then if I get my hands and everything full of the bear scent and then set my camera up, and then the bears are going to be attracted to your camera and they'll be messing with it. So I'm going to do that first before I get everything smelly, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to get my camera mounted here on this tree, and I always use a cam lock box when I'm bear baiting. Just number one, keep the bears from chewing on the camera, and number two, when you start baiting bears, you pack down a pretty good path to your bait, and you don't want anybody else coming in here and messing with your camera. So I'm going to get this on the tree first, and my tip for when you're putting up a camera for a bear bait is don't set it like you do for deer hunting. Bears are shorter, so if you set your camera at the same height as you do in your deer hunting, you're going to just get pictures of the top of the bears. You're going to miss them completely. So I only mount my camera about 2.5 feet off the ground. So when the bear comes in, what they're going to do is they're going to open up the bait, and then they're probably going to lay down and start eating. If you got your camera up too high while they're laying there eating the bait, you're not going to get any pictures of them. So I like to keep my camera low so I get pictures of the bears the whole time they're at the bait site. So I'm going to get this set up first. So I'm going to get my cam lock box mounted on the tree right here. I had it last year, and I also found my stick laying here in the ground that I used last year to level it. And when you order your cam lock box, do yourself a favor and order some of their screws too. These screws work super awesome. They go in the tree so easy. I just bring a ratchet out. You don't need a power drill or anything like that to get these screws in the tree. They go in pretty easy. So I'm going to get this turned in. So I got my lockbox mounted on the tree, and then I'm just going to throw my camera in here. I'm not going to turn it on yet. I just want to get this done first so I don't get the whole thing smelling like bear scent. And something that I do with my lockboxes at my bear baits, I threw a couple screws in there, because if a bear would come in here, it's usually the smaller bears. If they would bite on this thing from the side, they could still get their teeth in here and, you know, break the IRs or crack your lens. So I put these on here just as a little extra deterrent so the bears don't come up here and chew on the lockbox and possibly damage the camera. So I'm going to leave this alone, and then before I leave today, I'll turn it on and be ready to go. So when you find your location where you want to have your bear bait site, the first thing you want to do is set up a backstop like this. I didn't have to do it this year because I set this up last year, but I am going to add some brush to it just because the snow has knocked it down a little bit. But what the backstop does is I'm going to take the bait log here and I put it up against the backstop. So when your bears come in, they come around the backstop and you get a nice broadside shot at them. Tree stands over here, so I'm going to go grab my gloves and just kind of clean up the hardwood here a little bit and add to this, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so now I'm going to get my bait and my stump here, and as you see, I got some rubber gloves on. I never come out bear baiting unless I have at least 3 sets of rubber gloves for doing all my stuff. And I've got some pie filling here, and what I'm going to do with that first is I'm just going to dump a little bit in the bottom of the stump, and then I'm going to use my hands with the rubber gloves and coat the whole inside of it. And then I've just got some bait left over from last year. I got some circus peanuts and some maple chocolates. Those work really good for me. And gummy worms, I don't know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. They ate them for a little while here last year, and then they quit eating them, so I'm sure they'll eat them right away this summer and early summer. But that's another thing, I like to feed my sweets and sugary stuff throughout the summer, and then when it gets closer to bear season, that's when I'll switch over to my granola and trail mix and the stuff that the bears like for putting on fat for the winter time. So we'll get that put in, then dump the bait in, and move on to the next thing. Alright, got the bait all ready to go. I threw the cap on there and a few rocks, and then that log is just strictly something I do. It's soaked in years worth of bear scent, so I just keep using it, and that's mainly what it is, just to keep adding scent to it and keep the bears interested, gives them something to mess around with while they're here at the bait. So now we're going to move on to the important steps and the stuff that I really wanted to show everyone today. So I'm going to go get the gold rush, and we're going to start gold rushing this bait site, and I'll show you how I do it and what's worked really good for me in the past. So what I do to start out is I buy a $5 sprayer from Walmart. It's a nice little 1-gallon sprayer. I throw a gallon of grease in there. I get that from Walmart too. And the gold rush, you mix it 1 to 2 ounces per 5 gallons of grease. So I put just in less than a ½ ounce of gold rush in this sprayer here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over here by the bait, and there's 2 trees I've been doing, and I just spray the trees up as high as I can get it, and this sprayer works awesome. I can get that gold rush up there about 10-15 feet off the ground, and it really gets this scent out down through the swamp here, and it's worked really good for me. I know it's made a difference. I used to just dump it on the ground and not get it up into the trees, and when I started doing this, I started getting a lot more bears coming in. So we're going to go do this first, and then we'll get the rest of the gold rush down. So now that I got it pumped up, I can just hit this. I can spray that grease and that gold rush and get that scent way up there, and the wind will carry it down through this whole swamp. So I got my trees greased, and I'll take the camera over and show a close-up of that. But as you can see too, I didn't use a whole lot of grease. This 1-gallon mixture, this will probably last you, I mean, 6, 7, 8 trips in here baiting. This will go a long ways, and just a really great way that I found to, you know, get that scent up in the air and get it traveling down through the woods to attract more bears. But I'm gonna go over and show you how good the trees look with all that grease and that gold. You can tell I got that grease way up the tree because it's shining in the sun up there, and then it runs all down the tree. It makes terrific scent posts to get that scent down through the woods. Then I also do this tree here. So between the 2 trees, I'm telling you, that really helps out. And then that log that I showed before that I lean up against my bait stump, I also sprayed that down with some gold rush, and then the bears can play with that, and they get the gold rush all over their feet. Now, what I just said about that scent log and putting that grease on the scent log and the bears getting on their feet is the magic thing about gold rush. Not only is it a great scent that the bears smell and come in, but once they get here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 2.5 gallons of grease and gold rush, and I'm going to gold rush this whole area here, and when the bears come in, they're going to track through it and get the gold rush and the grease on their feet. And then what that does, when they head down their bear trails, they're going to scatter this scent all down through the woods for you, and any new bears that come through here will cut that scent trail and they'll come into your bait site. And I mean, this is the #1 key into getting more bears and big bears to your bait, is the grease and the gold rush. This is by far the most important step. tracks, I'm going to use some of the shaker scent today. I've got the Cherry Burst. This works, you know, super well for me. It also works deer hunting too. That's why I've always got Cherry Burst on me. And there's a bunch of different scents that Northwoods offers, so you can find what works for you. Keep changing it up. So today I've got cherry. I've also like using the maple, the blueberry, the bacon. There's a ton of them that work awesome. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to put a little bit on my rocks here, a little bit on the scent post, and then some more just around here. And it does not take a lot of this stuff. This bottle will last you probably the whole season because it's just super concentrated, super sweet, smells really strong, and it doesn't take much. And one more thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go over and right in front of my trail camera, I'm going to put a little bit of this on the ground just to get some close-up pictures of the bears. And finally, I've made it to the last step of my Northwoods Bear Products scent dispersal, and I'm going to end it with some spray scent. I've got the new donut spray. I'm going to try it out here. It's been working great for everybody I've been talking to. And what I do with this is when it gets closer to hunting season, that's when I'll, you know, start spraying the brush around here and getting some scent out. But what I typically do is I'll just put like a tree step on my scent tree here, and then I've got some rags in here that I soaked in the donut spray overnight. But what I'm going to try this year is I got an old fishing pole that I zip tied and duct taped to a tree step. And what I'm going to try with this is I'm going to put it right here and dangle the scent rag off the end of this fishing pole right in front of the camera. And we're just going to get some interaction with the bears going after that scent rag out here, and it should be pretty cool. This fishing pole's got the bend in it so they can bat it around and play with it. So I'm going to get this mounted right here. Just a empty can at home, and I threw this blue rag in there. Let it soak overnight. Cut a few holes in it. What I'm going to do is just zip tie it right here on the end of the fishing pole. And that should work out pretty slick. I just hope that the bears don't snap the pole off right away, but they should be able to come in here and bat it around and play with it. And it should show up on that camera right there. So, that's just me. Every year I'm always trying new things, and this is my new thing I'm going to try this year, is this scent rag on the fishing pole. And that is it. The bear bait is ready to go. We got our Gold Rush grease combo on the ground, so the bears will come in and get all full of that grease and track it all down through the woods, bring more bears in. We got our shaker sent out. I put it around my my bait stump, and then I put a little bit in front of the camera here just to get some better pictures of the bear. And then I got my spray scent on the scent rag with the fishing pole on a tree step, just so the bears got something to play with up there. And we'll see how that works. That's something new I'm trying this year. Usually I just, you know, put them on a hook on the tree. So this is just the way I do it. I hope this video, you know, gives people some ideas to, you know, try their own things or copy what I did. Most important part is get your Gold Rush grease on the ground for the bears to get the scent through the woods. And, you know, just the added things that I do is I put the Gold Rush in the sprayer and I spray it up in the trees just to get more scent down through the woods. I do the scent rag with the spray scent. If you don't want to do that, you can just, you know, find some trees around your bait site and just, you know, spray it on there with the bottle. And a couple other pointers I just wanted to touch on is bring bug spray. I didn't do that today, and these mosquitoes are eating me alive. But before you even start setting up your whole bear bait, you want to find a spot that's good for southwest wind, because typically when September rolls around and bear season opens up, the wind's going to be anywhere from the west to the south. So if you got your bait down to the southwest of your stand set up, you got a good chance that they're not going to smell you when they come in. Another thing I want to touch on is don't put any grease or Gold Rush on your backstop. You get your backstop built up in the spring, you did all that hard work. If you put any Gold Rush on there, the bears are just going to tear it down and destroy it, and you're going to have to put up a whole new backstop, do it over again. get that done now in the spring, so when you're walking around the woods, you're gathering up all the stuff like I was. You know, you're scattering human scent. You don't want to be doing that again closer to bear season. So get that done right away. No gold rush on it so the bears don't destroy it. And one other thing I wanted to add is, you know, I'm a scent-free, you know, guru when it comes to any kind of, you know, deer, bear. So I don't wear my good hunting boots when I'm in here doing this gold rush thing, because I'm going to get it all over my feet. Even when I come in here the next time the gold rush is on the ground to get around to do my stuff, I'm going to get that grease all over my boots. So what I do is I'm just wearing a cheap pair of rubber boots I got from Fleet Farm. I think they cost me less than $20. I leave them out in the garage. They don't leak, and I've been using them for 4 or 5 years now. They work great. That's just a little added tip in there. So I'm going to get everything packed up on the four-wheeler and get out of these bugs. Lastly, we set that camera up before you leave. Don't forget to turn your camera on. That's always a bummer when you get back in here and you didn't turn your camera on. So that's it. Hope this video helps everybody out. You know, copy what I did. It works great. Try your own things. You know, this is just ideas what to do. And you know, the main purpose of this video was just to, you know, show people how to use the gold rush, and how important that step is and how great it works. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here, get out of the mosquitoes, and we'll come back and check this bait site in about 2 weeks, and we'll see what kind of pictures we got. Thanks for watching.